Welcome, welcome. I am Charles Mattocks, your host of Inside the Mind of a Woman. This is our second episode. I'm excited about this. Our first one that featured Hannah was her story on surviving abuse and some religion, and it was powerful, very powerful. She had a lot of great feedback on that one. We had almost 9,000 views in a few days, which is very exciting. And, inside the mind of a woman, I wanted to create that because I think at times, our mothers, our sisters, our brothers, our sisters, our aunts, and things like that, we don't understand what they're dealing with at times, what they've gone through, some of the struggles, the pains, the triumphs, just to be a woman. It's not easy. And I think there's at times a divide even between women and men that we could probably bring a little bit closer and help understand each other a little bit more and understand what at times people go through things and you will never know. Just to be a mother, just to be a daughter, it's not easy. So that's why we created Inside a Mind of a Woman, and we're going to be interviewing some amazing people who are from business people to celebrities to just the average everyday person who has a story to tell. So we have a good show today. I met this young lady a few months back. She has the same condition as my mother has, which is a very rare, painful condition called CRPS, Complex Regional Pain Syndrome. There was actually a TV show, a documentary on Netflix that featured that's doing very well right now. That featured a young girl who was going through the same disease, and it's called the suicide disease because it won't kill you, but it'll make you wish you were dead. And she's overcome that. She's overcome abusive relationships and just a fascinating story that I think we should definitely hear. So I'm going to bring on Elisa. And how are you, young lady?
I am very good, thank you.
Good, good. So we met a few months ago, and you reached out after I think maybe seeing the documentary Trial by Fire. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I watched the documentary because there is so little information public about complex regional pain syndrome, and reached out to you afterwards because I was just in awe that you had taken the time to share what complex regional pain syndrome is to so many people that because there are so many people that don't know anything about the disease.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's the film has done very well, and it's touched so many lives. And how long have you had CRPS? And
I was diagnosed in October of 2011 with complex regional pain syndrome.
okay, and how did you? Was there a specific moment that led to you getting diagnosed?
Well, I was in a very traumatic car accident. Actually killed 5 cows with my vehicle and had to be cut out. And it took probably a year after the accident to actually be diagnosed. Um, to be diagnosed with this horrible disease. It started in my right ankle and now has pretty much taken over my entire body.
Mm. Now, what were the first signs or symptoms? When did you realize something was wrong?
Not It was maybe a month after the accident. I started having severe pain. Like it felt like somebody had started my ankle on fire. It was super sensitive to the touch. It was a lot colder than my other leg. Um, and I knew then that there was something that was wrong.
Yeah, yeah. And what I don't think people understand what that type of pain feels like. Um, what were some of the first thoughts that were going through your mind? I mean, what did you think?
I honestly didn't know what to think. Like I said, it literally felt like someone had poured gasoline on my ankle and started on fire. And no matter what I tried to do to get rid of the pain, nothing would work. Nothing would make it any better. And
Mm.
at many times, I just asked the doctors to just cut my ankle off because I couldn't handle the pain.
Wow. And did you know? Because we know that a lot of times, especially in CRPS, they think it's in somebody's head that they're not really feeling that type of pain. Did you get that type of feedback too as well?
Oh, yes. I went through, I have been through 27 just regular doctors and had to fire all of them. I've heard that I needed to go to church, that if I read the Bible, the pain would stop. Um, I was told it was in my head many, many, many times.
Mm. Yeah. And what were some of the early treatments that you tried? Did you try ketamine? Did you try, gabapentin? What did you try?
I was put on gabapentin, I think 2 months after the accident to try to help with the pain. I took gabapentin for the first 8 years. I have had spinal blocks, I've had epidurals, I've had cortisone shots, I've had physical therapy 7 different times. Um, any pain medication that they threw my way, I tried just to try to subside from some of the pain to get some sort of relief.
Hmm. Wow.
I also had a spinal stimulator put in that they, told me would definitely help with the pain.
Hmm.
I had to have that removed because it caused more pain than it did help. Anything that pain doctors were willing to try, I was willing to try it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I know you have a story that actually, and we'll get to that, that is very powerful as far as you coming out of that. But and I know that during this time you were in a abusive relationship too as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I decided to start dating a man that I had met in fourth grade. Um, we started dating. We were together for almost 10 years. Um, the emotional abuse, I can say, started probably within the first 3, 4 years, maybe. After we actually got married, the physical abuse started. Uh, I never imagined myself to be in a situation like that, but um, it got to the point where I completely walked on eggshells around him. I watched what I did, what I said. I um, kind of put my life on an end because I didn't want to upset him and maybe bring out, I called the devil in him. Um, it got to the point where the last situation, he actually broke my foot and broke my finger. And that's when I decided that life is way too short to deal with something like that. And it was time for me to walk away.
And what did that walking away look like? How long did that take? What was the process? Um,
Um, well, the day he broke my foot and my finger, I knew that was the last day, and I told him that I wanted a divorce and that he needed to pack up his things and move out. And
mhm,
that happened that day.
mm,
It's definitely one of the harder things that I have ever done in my life. I never thought that I was strong enough to walk away from something like that,
mhm,
but knew that with the help of, the people around me that love me, that I could overcome this and find myself in all of that because I had lost myself with being with him for the last 10 years and dealing with all of the emotional abuse that it started early on, that I deserved better than that.
mm. Now, I could only imagine dealing with that abuse from him, and then also have to dealing with living with the CRPS and that tremendous pain. Was he at least supportive in any kind of way with the CRPS, and what you were dealing with that?
At the very beginning, yes. It it was hard for him to understand how much pain that I was in, which
Hmm.
I get from a lot of people. A lot of people tell me that I'm faking it. It can't really be that bad. Um, but then, he never went to any of my doctor's appointments really with me, except for, a handful. And towards the end was very unsupportive and told me that I was lying about the whole thing and I was doing it for attention. And yeah, not definitely not an easy thing to go through with that when I'm trying to deal with the pain of complex regional pain syndrome pretty much on my own.
Yeah. Now I know you have a strong father figure in your life, right? So how did it come that you were in this abusive relationship? I mean, were there some early signs that you probably say, you know what, I probably should have left then, or how did it build up to that?
Looking back now, there were definitely some red flags that I wish I would have taken more seriously and said, this is not okay, and I should have walked away. My dad is definitely a, God rest his soul, um, a very important, probably the most important man figure in my life. Um, I witnessed my dad go through a lot of abuse in his past marriage, and I guess maybe I took all of that in the Catholic upbringing, that once, you are with someone and you say those vows, no matter what, you make things work. And so that was my mindset at the time. And reaching out to, my pastor at church, um, he kind of had to explain to me that God doesn't want you to suffer, that we are all here for a short amount of time. And if that means that, you've tried everything to make something work and it's not reciprocated on the other end,
Yeah.
then you need to do what is best for you and making yourself happy, because in God's eyes, that's all he wants for all of his children is to be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm proud of you. Um, that is a powerful story. I mean, had you had any of that type of those type of relationships before that one? Was that your first one?
That was my first
Hmm.
physically abusive relationship with
Hmm.
a man. Growing up, my mother was very, very physically abusive, and I
Hmm.
think that's where I kind of learned that you kind of just take what you're dealt and learn to get through it. And maybe that's why it took me so long to walk away from the marriage that I was in, because my mind was already traumatized in that fashion, that
Yeah.
I just believed that this is what God wanted me to deal with, and that I was a strong enough person that I could deal with it.
And how was your mental health at this point? I mean, what were you dealing with? I know with CRPS, you had mentioned that you had even thought about taking your own life. Is that the case?
Definitely, I have attempted suicide on a number of occasions, not just because of the pain, but very much so because of the mental health that CRPS puts you on. When you have doctor after doctor after doctor telling you that this is all in your head, you definitely start to believe that and think that something is wrong with you in your head that is causing all of this pain. And then to go through so much traumatic emotional abuse, my entire upbringing with my mother, and then in the relationships that I chose to be in, um, my mental health was definitely a mess.
Hmm. Have you healed that relationship with your mother?
I wish I could say that I have. Um, my mother, I think, at a very young age, decided that she didn't want to be a mom. I think that my sisters and I were born to bring happiness to the men that she was with more than herself. Um, my mother told me numerous times that I was never wanted, that I was only brought into this world for more child support
Mm,
from my dad.
wow.
Um, so hearing that from someone that brought you into this world, that is, your mother, that's supposed to love you and nurture you and bring out the best in you and support you through life to be the best person you can. I never had that. I honestly feel like I have never had a mother in my life.
Mm,
When I went to live with my dad at 11 years old, that is when I got the first glimpse of what a parent really should be.
hmm. Yeah, that's powerful. I mean, have you ever talked to her about this, or have you had that conversation?
I've definitely tried one-on-one conversation. She gets very, very defensive and wants to turn everything into a fight and a he said, she said, and what she didn't do wrong. I guess in all the years, there's, many things that have happened. She has not only been emotionally and physically abusive, but she is also, you know, someone that has stolen a lot from me. And we have been on and off in a relation, even just trying to talk for the last 45 years. And I don't like the not feeling like I've reached out and tried to patch things up. So I've apologized to her for things that I may have said that upset her. And
Mm,
and all of it, I think I was just looking for her to say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I did this, and I'm sorry. Like, you don't even have to explain it to me. Just apologize. And I've never gotten that.
hmm. It's interesting. I was talking to Anna, who was our first guest the other day, and the same thing. Her parents, her mother, who was who allowed the abuse to take place, has yet to still acknowledge it and or apologize. It's something that, even as a parent now, me as a parent, we I think we maybe raised a bit different, or because we went through so much that we want to be unlike what we may have seen or been around as what we call parents at times, right? Now you are a mother. How has what you've gone through changed the way you parent, or the way you talk or communicate with your child?
Um, well, I can say I got pregnant at a very young age with my son. I found out I was pregnant at 16 years old.
Hmm.
And the moment I found out I was pregnant, the very first thing I said to my dad and to my pastor when we met one on one is that no matter what, I will never spank my kids or swat my kids or smack their hand like I see so many parents doing, because I was in fear of turning into the mother that I was raised with, and I never wanted that for my kids.
Mm,
So I definitely made a vow to myself that would never happen, because I didn't want I I was so afraid that if I were to spank my kids for doing something, and
yeah,
just a light spanking to let them know what they're doing is wrong, I
yeah.
had that fear inside of me that I would become her.
Mm,
And I definitely did not want that for myself or my kids.
yeah. How has this affected potential future relationships since your last, let's say, abusive relationship? Have you allowed that to taint your outlook on relationships?
No, because I think that, we're all here for a short amount of time, and we all have so much love inside of us, and I believe that there are good men out there. I have just chosen to be with the wrong ones. I still 100% believe in love and believe that it's out there.
Mm, I love that. I love that. There's a common thread I've been noticed over the last two shows here, um, with very giving hearts. The both you and Anna have very giving hearts, very forgiving hearts, um, almost to a fault at times, right? Where I'm kind of the same way, where we always see the good in people. We always want them to kind of be like what we would be, or think the way we would think in different situations, as far as how we treat people and how we want to be treated. Um, what growth have you done as far as, being a woman, being a mother, and a potential mate, or partner to someone, that you can say you've taken away over the last, year or two, that you have improved on? What would you say that takeaway would be?
I think my biggest takeaway is that um, I have learned that I need to put myself first.
Hmm.
Um, I have had a very hard time doing that because I am a very giving person. I am been told numerous times that I am, a people pleaser. I want everyone else to be happy around me, even if that cost me, my own happiness at the time. Um, I like to see everyone else happy.
Yeah. 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 No, you're right. You do have to, at times, put ourselves first. Our happiness and our peace is so key. Is so key. And there's so many distractions in life, in the world, from what's going on politically, to family, to friends. And at times we need to separate our minds, our bodies, from anything that can take away from our peace. At times we have to almost be very selfish, right? And say, no, it's me first. I'm not going to let you pull me into this. I'm not going to let you confuse me or confuse the situation. I'm not going to take on your responsibility. I'm going to put myself where it needs to be, because once again, you're right, we do have a short period of time. So now let's go back to CRPS. Now you're at almost a breaking point, and we're not going to get into full details, but you went and sought someone for uh, an alternative treatment, and you have literally taken back your life after years of being in chronic pain, upwards of some of the worst pain that imaginable. You are now in what place, and how does that feel?
Well, it took getting a diagnosis of being told that I had months to live from this disease because it had started to shut my organs down. Um, when I decided that, regular pharmaceutical doctors were not helping me, and I definitely felt like they were causing more damage to my body than they were in helping me. And so I decided to reach out and find, a holistic doctor that maybe could help me in a more natural way. Um, I It's a godsend that there are natural medications that have no side effects on your body, that you can take. I was within, I'd say less than the last since November. I have gone through where I have lost close to 120 pounds. Um, I couldn't keep food down. Um, just everything seemed to be getting worse and worse and worse. And when I found this natural medicine um, that I was put on and told that if I, just took these medications for a certain amount of time, that, things would change. I went from, day one, I didn't feel a whole lot of difference. Day two, my pain definitely started to lessen. Um, I was at this time in a wheelchair, so unable to walk on my own. Day three, I actually got up and walked, and I knew at that very moment that this was going to change my life and bring me back from something I hadn't felt in a long time. I can say that, my pain went from, the doctors always give you the scale of 1 to 10, but with complex regional pain syndrome, I think it's so much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
I put my pain at 100. It was at 100.
Mm-hmm.
And by day three, I was probably down to maybe a 60. Today, I have almost zero pain. There are definitely days where you'll have your flare ups, but the pain, I would say, doesn't ever get past, maybe a 10. Um, and I just feel like I have been reborn. Like, this is my time to shine in life, and to put complex regional pain syndrome in on the back burner, to say it's always going to be there. It's never going to go away, but I can enjoy my life pain free and able to and take care of myself, which I was unable to do for the last 2 years, is when it really got bad.
Wow. Wow, that is, you know, and when you told me about this and told me about, what you were taking, I'm like, I initially thought this woman, what's the catch here, and then heard your story, and just have seen you over the last, few months totally just become a new person. It's very inspiring. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, because I know you're a giver who wants to help other people. You love helping other people and giving back to other people. You have a great heart, and to see what you've gone through. And I think, once again, inside the mind of a woman, that's partly of the reason why we do this, because not only you have gone through so much, not only from your parents, from your mother to your ex, to this condition, and come out on the other side with still this wonderful personality of hope. Now, what's next, since you've been reborn, so to speak? What's the future hold for you?
Well, I'm not 100% sure what the future holds, but I can definitely say that, um, and feeling like I have been reborn, I just feel like the future is an open book, and the world is at in my hands now. I can do all the things that, many doctors told me that I'd never be able to do after being diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome. I don't feel that way anymore. I My whole mindset has opened, and I'm not in this dark place of, you'll never do this, you'll never be able to do this. I'm open to, I can accomplish anything I set my mind to.
Hmm. Hmm. I love that. I love that. And I know that you are, trying to help other people with CRPS too as well, and hopefully we'll use this to be able to share in the community. And for those who are interested in what she took, you could reach out to us, and we can help you get some of that. And I mean, obviously, everything doesn't work for everyone, and what she took was pretty natural. And I actually tried to for those who know me in the CRPS community, I actually brought it to my mom to try to take it, but unfortunately, she just is at a stage where, she's lost that fire to keep fighting, and I can understand that can happen. People can get to a point, because I know, Elisa, you had got to a point as well where it probably was, you know, you felt like giving up. But you dug in, and kept trying at least one more time. And so I wish she would try it, because I do believe that, I look at your story, and it's a true testament. So there's if it's worked on you, it definitely has the potential to work on many others. So I want to thank you for taking your time. Is any parting words that you'd like to share with the audience and about what you're going through and what you've been through and coming out on the other side?
I want people to know that no matter what you go through in life, that as long as you have the fight in you, you can overcome anything and come out a much better, more loving person on the other side.
Yeah.
You just have to know that you are loved, and you have the support, whether it be within your community, your family, your friends, um, to come out a better person on the other side. Just never give up and always keep fighting.
And I love your faith. Is that what helped you get through? I mean, was there ever a time where that your faith was tested, or maybe you felt like, why God, why'd you do this to me?
I can honestly say that when I lost my dad, um, I I lost my faith in God for a long time. It took a couple of years for me to come back to to believing that there there is a such thing as God, and that He doesn't, put us through the things that He puts us through to punish us or make us suffer. It's it's a part of life that everyone has to go through, and that I apologized a million times over, and 100% gave myself to God
Mm.
within the last year of my life. And I don't I don't blame him for me having this disease. There are times where I'm down, and I say, why me, God? Why do I have to go through this? But I think that, beings I am such a strong person that I was given this horrible disease to show others, that you can fight and you can make it out on the other side, and to help other people that are suffering from this and want to give up. There are so many people that have reached out to me with complex regional pain syndrome, if nothing more, for someone to talk to that understands what they're going through. Because in this horrible disease, like I said, there are so many people who don't believe you and believe that you're just making this all up.
Mm.
And just to have, someone to reach out and talk to, I think a lot of complex regional pain syndrome patients are missing that in their daily lives, because
Right.
it's such an invisible disease. So I'd like to help, as many people as I can.
Yeah. 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 Well, thank you, Elisa and Elisa. Elisa, I'm bad with names right here. I'm sorry about that. It's Elisa, right?
Elisa.
Elisa. All right. That's my Jamaican over there talking. We're talking about Elisa. Elisa. But thank you, young lady, and thanks for number one reaching out to me a few months ago. It really touched my heart and made my day to hear the feedback from the film. Still, after a few years, that it's still touching lives, and we will stay in touch, and we will do some work together to reach some people and change some lives. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Talk soon. Bye bye. All right. So once again, I think just another man. When you hear these stories, like I said, at times you really don't know what someone's dealing with, and it's amazing to see how people are so resilient, and at times how their faith brought them over, but also faith in themselves. It's these wonderful hearts, these wonderful humans who have such giving hearts. At times have been taken advantage of by the system, by friends and family. It's just it's it's uh, it's a deep look into inside the mind of a woman, and we get a chance to understand um, just how strong they truly are. So, all right, do follow, subscribe, share with some friends. We're trying to do some good work. Obviously, you know who I am. We do some tremendous shows on health on conditions, and we've got some amazing projects we're working on, and we're trying to put some good out here in the world. There's so much mess and so much crap and so much hatred and everything like that. We're trying to do some good work, and I think at times good work doesn't get the recognition that it deserves. So don't forget, it doesn't take you 1 second. If you enjoyed this podcast, it doesn't take you 1 second to like, share, comment, and send to others. Right. So we are out, and see you next time on Inside the Mind of a Woman.